Today is Tuesday, January the 23rd, and we are continuing our study through the Bible, learning about Jesus together this year. We're using as a companion to it the Quest 52 book by Mark Moore, and the question he has us to dive into today as we are studying about this week, can God use me for big things? Is this. We're to read Isaiah chapter 9, verses 1 through 7, and then answer this question: what descriptions of Jesus are found in this prophecy? So I thought for today's reading together, I would read chapters 9, 1 through 7 together, and then talk about some things I see in Isaiah chapter 9, referring to Jesus and pointing him out. And I would love for you to leave in the comments and dialogue with me about what you see too. I would love to be encouraged with you as we pursue Jesus together. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1 through 7 says this: "Nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who were in distress. In the past, he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. But in the future, he will honor Galilee of the nations by the way of the sea, beyond the Jordan. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation and increased their joy. They rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest, as warriors rejoice when dividing the plunder. For as in the day of Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born. To us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he'll be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this." I'm not going to point out everything here because, again, I would love for you to point out some of this stuff, but I want to point out a few things in this passage that I see Jesus at work doing. It says in verse 1, "Nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who are in distress." Actually, just this past weekend, I got to preach at Koinonia Christian Campus Ministry, a ministry we support, on Isaiah chapter 1. And Isaiah is writing to a people who are choosing to live in rebellion against God. And so I love that we got to come into this. And he's writing to them because they're going to be in oppression. They're going to be carried off by the Babylonians. The Israelites in the north or kingdom are going to be carried off by Assyria. Babylon's going to come and carry them off, but they'll come back. And he's pointing to a future hope, their Messiah, all throughout this book, that though things seem distressing, God is sending hope. And so in this, he says, you've been turning away in the first few chapters of Isaiah, you've been turning away, but a Messiah is coming, the one who's going to save you, God's anointed one. That's who Jesus is. There'll be no more gloom for those who are in distress because he's going to honor Galilee of the nations. We know that's where Joseph's family was from. He went down to Bethlehem in Judea. Jesus was born, went into Egypt, and came back out and lived in Galilee. The people in darkness have seen a great light. Who do we call the light of the world? Jesus. He has dawned. He's brought light into a darkness and has opened our eyes so we can see what God wants to do. I'm going to flip the page really quick and just say one more thing. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given. We joked about this on Sunday. I got the opportunity to preach with Adam. I really love Christmas time. And this is usually a passage we read at Christmas, but it was a hope-filled passage for them. That God would be sending one who would redeem his people, restore them back, and that they would no longer be alienated from God, but would be given a hope and a future, that he would lead them out of their oppression. Jesus did that for us. He took us out of the yoke of slavery we had because of our sin and led us into a new life and led us into freedom in God by the grace given to us through Jesus. That's what I see in this passage. There is more in this passage about Jesus, but I don't want to say it all. I want you to dialogue with me about it. Let's start a conversation. What do you see? What tie-ins do you see? And if you want to use some of these other verses that don't just say Jesus stuff, but actually point out how God foreshadowed things in the Old Testament, I'd love to see references to those as well. Let's join together in starting this conversation all about Jesus. I can't wait to see what you write. Until we see each other again, church, you are sent. Have a great day.